Formula E moves away from Mexico City and over to Saudi Arabia. Welcome to the Jeddah Corniche circuit for round 3 of the season. Using the Formula 1 layout, turn 1 and 2 is a natural overtaking opportunity, but then in turn 3 we zoop back round on a hairpin for 4 and then back down to 5, 6, 7 sweeping before we get to our first chicane at turn 8, an inside opportunity to flick the car in and really get some power down. Then through a sparse Francashore style bus stop chicane at turn 11, kink at 12 before then into the long turn 13 hairpin, which is going to be our first attack mode opportunity at this circuit. 2 chicanes on the back straight as well make up 19 turns here at the shortest of the Jeddah Corniche circuit layouts. It's the 3rd and 4th round of the championships before the championship takes a couple of months break before Miami. Double in Monaco, followed by a double in Tokyo, Japan, and then we go over to doubles in Shanghai as well. Jakarta takes us to round 12 for doubles in Berlin and London round out the season. Evans won in Sao Paulo in December. January, that belonged to Oliver Rowland with victory in a thrilling Mexico City. And this is what it does to the Drivers' Championship then. It's Antonio Felix da Costa on 37 points to Oliver Rowland on 25, matching with Mitch Evans. Pascal Wehrlein has 21 with Taylor Barnard on 15. Jake Dennis has 13 with Sam Bird on 12. Jean-Eric Verne matching along with Nick de Vries. And Eduardo Mortar rounding up the top 10 with exactly 10 points as well. On the second page, Maximilian Gunther has 8 points, Christopher Van Dorn on 7, Buemi on 6 with Ticktum on 4, Muller's on 2, Hughes only on 1, no points for Friens or Maloney or anyone else down there. In the Teams Championship, Tag Heuer Porsche leads 58 points to Neil McLaren 27. They're 2 clear Jaguar and Nissan. Mahindra's on 22, clear to Penske and Andretti. Maserati on 8, Envision 6, Cooper on 4, Lola still on 0. And in the Manufacturers' Championship, Porsche lead by a point to Nissan in their battle this year. Jaguar cleared to Mahindra, who are a point to Stellantis. Lola do actually have 1 point. Welcome to qualifying for the 2025 Jeddah EPrix. It's round 3 of the season, and we're all set for the green light to go on in around about 90 seconds time. Hello everybody, welcome to the Combox. I'm Joshua Burch. Alongside me is Jack Pickering as well, Formula E journalist as well. Pico, we're all set to go for this one. Yesterday's opening practice session provided us a little bit more interesting questions. Nissan looked fast as well. This morning, Porsche back at the top. It's sort of ebbing and flowing between the two like you mentioned it would yesterday.
Well, yeah, it's just typical Formula E. You can never know what's going to happen in Formula E. Whether it'll 1 second it'll be Nissan, 1 second it'll be Porsche. We might see Jaguar doing well. They had a bad practice session earlier on with the top Jag being Seb Buemi and the customer team. Friens had a problem, and the 2 factory teams were towards the back of the field.
And we had a couple of accidents as well, again, with drivers dive-bombing each other and not knowing where they need to be. Van Dorn and de Vries, as you mentioned. So this is Group A going out there. It's going to be Antonio Felix da Costa, Mitch Evans, Taylor Barnard, Sam Bird, Nick de Vries, Maximilian Gunther, Sebastian Buemi, Nico Muller, Robin Friens, Nick Casti, and Lucas de Grassi will be the 11 heading out there as the green light goes on. Beautiful conditions here as well, by the way. And I think as well, Jack, we're sort of all hoping to see that this is going to be a nice, cool, calm session. Nobody wants the drama of what we've had in previous qualifyings this year with a lot of traffic as everyone tries to get their best lap times in.
No, well, this is the longest circuit of the season at just literally just over 3 kilometers. I think it's 3.001 or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, so traffic shouldn't be as much of an issue. And yeah, but this first session, I think it's probably the easier of the 2 groups to try and get through. But we'll have to see his cars starting to make their way out onto the circuit.
See him on your driver tracker, and hopefully we'll get that qualifying blog operational and it starts working. Just needs a bit of a kick restart as often technology always needs to. There we go. It's now working. Roland coming in too. I have got absolutely no idea in terms of what the running order is going to be in terms of those at the back, because it keeps on changing. Lola haven't performed very well this season. They've got no points. They do have 1 point though in terms of the Manufacturers' Championship. But their car looked a bit stronger yesterday in similar time conditions as well. So you've got to hope that Degrassi can thrash it together and make a dual appearance.
Yeah, the important thing to remember, though, is that both Lolas will today serve a 20-place penalty for breaking a seal in the gearbox at the end of the Mexico event. So whatever happens today, they will serve that 20-second penalty, 20-place penalty, and whatever they don't serve, they have to serve as a drive-through or a stop-go in the race later this evening.
So this is really an important time to get as many positions up in as you can in qualifying, get into the duels, because that guarantees you a top 8 finish.
Yesterday.
So the plan is out, build, push, push.
So Nick Cassidy.
So push is the run for Cassidy there. So he's going to go to the checkered flag. As you mentioned, Jack, it's a 3-kilometre circuit with 19 turns, and it does take a bit of a long time to get round here. It is a Formula 1 circuit modified for Formula E.
Yeah, so what they've done is if you're familiar with the Formula 1 layout, they do the first couple corners of the track, and they then go through a hairpin and emerge where the second sector ends for the Formula 1 circuit. They then go through the fast couple sweepers. They put a bus stop chicane on the back straight, and they put two further chicanes on the front straight. But apart from that, it's same circuit as Formula 1 and we'll be visiting in the middle of April.
Yeah, Formula 1 will be here, and we're all anticipating a fantastic race. Fingers crossed. It doesn't really usually deliver us with, I don't want to say high drama, but it delivers us certainly with, I think, expectations that it's going to be a good race across the board.
I think all the high drama for Formula 1 here was used up in 2021. I think since then they've just been on the back burner.
Political. I like it. Getting it in early on the board.
Less said about that, the better.
Right, let's thread over to our brand new qualifying screen as well. This will give us all the latest news, views and opinions of what you need to see with a full timing screen as well for these sessions. This is something we debuted in London a couple of years ago, but took a while for us to get it A-OK and sorted. It is now fully ready to go. So we hope you enjoy it, because it's a lot of work to bring it to you. But no doubt you will enjoy it nonetheless. There we go. I've stopped fiddling around now, and I can stand in the middle of the screen. Barnard's first sector time is a 22.048. Sector 2 is a 24.211. He's got the fastest racking up at the moment. As he exits, we're riding with him now. You just sort of got to keep your fingers crossed here that you don't whack into one of these clumsy chicanes, because we've seen a few lockups already today, and you're at full power lap times coming up. This is the first time some of these are going to attempt it in the qualifying run, so never.
Well, yeah,
nice.
the incident at the end of free practice too, it did look like that Nick Cassidy just sort of, no, not Nick Cassidy, Nick de Vries even overshot the mark whilst trying to get past his former teammate.
Just shot into him as well in considerable amount of disregard for human safety almost. As they come in, so it's got the top four at the moment: Barnard, Bird, de Vries and Gunther. Gunther's in the pit lane. Da Costa, Cassidy and Evans also have set lap times, but that's 5, 6 and 7 still yet to set lap times. Friends, Da Costa, Cassidy, Boemi, Muller and Degrassi. That's because Cassidy's lap time has been deleted by the stewards.
Well, none of the times as of yet are representative.
Yeah.
In the practice one yesterday, we were seeing times into the high 15s, and we saw them drop even further in practice two. So but those were the 350 lap times. So we're expecting somewhere around about a 16.5, I think, would be a solid time to get you through into the duels.
So on board with DeFries in the Mahindra. It's 23 in that first sector, so not pushing just yet. Yeah, this last chicane you mentioned in practice one yesterday, I'm in full agreement with you. Doesn't work. We don't need it. It's too clunky.
Yeah.
It reduces a great overtaking opportunity down to turn 1.
Yeah, I'd understand if they only had one chicane on the front straight, but 2 chicanes feels a little bit overkill.
I think, yeah, the 14, 15, 16, I think that feels quite natural. But this one, it doesn't, because it reduces... We've had longer runs in Formula E than that. I don't know why. Sanya immediately springs to mind, 2 sides of a bridge.
Yes. Well, one of the most Sao Paulo first race of the year. I know that the front straight is upwards of about 750 meters. The full length of the straight, if we didn't do chicanes, I think is upwards of 1 kilometer. So I understand why there needs to be 1 chicane in there. But yeah, I don't really understand why 2 chicanes are needed around this circuit on the front straight.
This is turn 4, which is weird actually, because it's the 3rd turn on the circuit. You have turn 1 and 2 chicane, and you have a little sort of blip at 3, and then it's 4. So I don't know why they've counted 3 as a corner. Realistically, on this circuit, you only feel around about 14 of the turns, and it's 19 on the circuit. So there's barely anything you actually have to do in order to keep it. Barnard's got the fastest middle sector now as well, and sector 1 again. So the Neil McLaren looking very strong. Sam Bird, his teammate, about 10th off in each sector. He's matched him in sector 2 though. Barnard has a 1:17.705. Bird across the line puts himself 3rd fastest, 4.5 tenths down. It's a 1:17.973 as we look to Robin Frines now. Oh, and an oversteer moment at 1. Oh, and did he lose it? Oh, what a drift from Robin Frines. Did he spin? He lost it.
He does spin. He does spin, but... and in front of the DS Penske. That would be Max Gunter coming back out the pits there as Muller brushes the wall coming out of the 14, 15, 16 chicane. He's on a floor and he's quickest in sector 2, Josh.
Bad thing with these curbs is... Oh, and he touched the wall on the exit there as well out of turn 19 and almost got centred towards the pit wall. Goes 3rd fastest though with a 1:17.855. But the problem with these chicanes is they have got the jump curbs. So the only way I can explain it to you is that if you have a track, say Silverstone, it's a very flat curve. It's designed as well for Formula 1 and motorcycles. But as Sylvain Philippe just turns his monitor so that Zane Maloney can see.
I've spent many a time at Silverstone. I know exactly what the curves are like.
And here, some of the curbs are painted here, actually, in Jeddah, because...
yes.
They like this one here down into turn 13 where tap mode is. This is painted, but the chicane ones are actually not painted. They are proper curbs, and they are bumped. And they are curbs that have been provided by Formula E themselves, not by the Jeddah Corniche circuit. So this is curbs that you see Formula E bring up and put down in places like Berlin and other places, well, Mexico as well, where we have chicanes added in. So they've brought them with them. That makes sense. Bit of greenery in terms of not reusing them. They're just basically like
Max Gunter's just jumped 2nd place. Oh, Evans, has just jumped him as well. 2,000 behind Taylor Barnard.
That's more like it. Oster Costa got in the Porsche over the line. 4th only for the man who was quick this morning. And it's a 1:17.774. Hello to Schwartztown. Says, hey guys, Motorsport 2025 season's almost underway. Formula E back for now at least, and Barnard is cooking. Absolutely he is. And oops, that's Boemi almost cooked himself.
It's worth noting that, and this is something I've only just remembered, that Taylor Barnard has been here before on the full circuit because he raced the first half of the Formula 2 season this year.
That is true, yeah. So he's got experience of this circuit as Barnard. As we hear from Casti again.
So the sporting director.
What did I do at turn 8? I cannot brake. I'm in the system's front box.
Oh, okay. System blind spot in turn 8. That's down at the chicane. the bus stop chicane, which is very much
Yes.
like, yeah.
Well, he's going now. He's just come through the final corner and he's starting his last lap of the session. There's only just over a minute left, so this is do or die now for Nick Cassidy. He's down in 8.
Yeah, so with 1:05 to go, Cassidy's really got to bring in. Remember, this is a man who's currently got no points in the Drivers' Championship at all. And very much as a pick to win this weekend. He wants to come back in and have a lot more fun with it. He's drifting already. I'm quite worried about turn 8.
He's down in sector 1.
Oh.
700ths down.
Regenning a lot into 8. Clips the curb through the bus stop chicane, which is very like the bus stop chicane in Spa-Francorchamps used to be. So I'm delighted to see that somebody brought it back in the motorsport world. He was close to the exit there. This is not a great time from Cassidy. He's only 72 thousandths off, but that's off of Gunther's time, not Barnard. So he's quicker than Sam Bird, but not by much, as we're going to see him come across the line shortly. Flags out in 15 seconds, but he won't make it. If we didn't have that chicane, he might just. But the chicane is going to cost him here. 7 seconds, 5, Cassidy, exit, Barnard's again, fast as sector 1. But Jack, I don't think he's going to do it, and he hasn't.
No. So this is the final, and he goes up to 4th, so he's just in for the moment. He's picked Gunther by 2 thousandths of a second. Taylor Barnard's on another fast lap now.
We've got more times coming in. Gunther's quick, DaCosta's quick, so's Muller, Bird, Boemi, they're all flying in that last sector. Here comes Taylor Barnard over the line now, though, to go faster. Yep, by 76 thousandths. It's a 1:17.429, the end of this first session. Having a look, Bird. Well, Frying's already out of it. Bird's across the line. Bird only goes 6th. Here comes DaCosta. He's 7th. And this is surely going to be going in. Cassidy's out as Gunther's gone through. But I don't think DaCosta, where is he? Here he is. He's going to do it.
He's leaping all over the chicanes.
My God, he was almost in the wall 3 times. Look at De Vries. Fastest middle sector of anybody in the Mahindra. He might get through as well. DaCosta's had a shocking last sector. He's not going to do anything for the best here across the line. And he stays in 7th place.
He's out.
Wow.
Championship leader will start 13th or 14th today.
And can we get a surprise here with Nick De Vries in the middle sector? We're going to see Mahindra top the board. He got 3rd. He gets ahead of Evans. Fabulous lap time for De Vries.
1,000th behind Gunther.
That's going to celebrate down there in Mahindra. They're into the jewels, but Cassidy's missed out. But most importantly, that DaCosta, the championship leader, missed out and starts back on row 7. Wow.
That is huge. Two Envisions had a bad time as well. Boemi's only 9th. Frines will start on the back row of the grid. Degrassi flanking them. But yeah, a very interesting first session. Out of those who are going through, on my predictor app, I only got 1 right, and that was Max Gunther. I expected more from Antonio Felix DaCosta. I put the wrong McLaren in. I put Sam instead of Taylor, but Taylor was on fire throughout that session. Nico Muller missed out as well with the Porsche powertrain.
A shocking session, absolutely. As we get an advert for Bridget Jones on our TV screen, which means it's time for us to hand over to the world feed as we have the qualifying break. And if Jack's wondering how I've got that, the media centre. That's a
yeah, no, yeah.
Unique circumstances, shall we say, with the red flags and the chaos that we had in that race. But that is a very strong performance from the youngest driver on the Formula E grid, as he now makes his way back into the garage and will be getting ready for the dual stages of qualifying in a few minutes' time after the second group of drivers have concluded their session. There is Ian James, team principal for Neon McLaren. His next driver, Sam Bird, will be going out very shortly. And a shame for Robin Freitz. I mentioned it earlier on in FP2. Unfortunately, if he fell into a barrel of shoes, he'd still come out barefoot at the moment. He can't seem to buy luck, can Robin Freitz. Technical problems stopping him from any meaningful running in free practice 2 this morning. Put him on the back foot into qualifying, and unfortunately, it means he does not progress forwards and into the dual stages. Don't forget about the Formula E predictor as well. Scan the QR code on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Tell us who you think is going to go forwards from the dual stages when we get the quarterfinals underway. We head into the semi-finals and then, of course, the finals and that front row fight for pole position. So just jumping out the car there is Sam Bird. So Bird also out of qualifying in that first group stage, isn't he? So that's a shame there for him in the Neon McLaren. Let's get confirmation then of the results from Group A for qualifying. So Barnard, Gunther, De Vries, Mitch Evans all make it through into the quarterfinals. We lose Nick Cassidy once again. Also, Sam Bird not making it through. Championship leader Antonio Felix da Costa also out. Nico Muller, Sebastian Buemi, as well as Robin Freins also not making it forwards. And likewise Lucas Di Grassi as well. We now shift our focus over to Group B. Unfortunately, this man will not be going forwards and into the dual stages. That is Antonio Felix da Costa in the Tag Heuer Porsche. He's only made the duels on one appearance in Saudi Arabia. All of those races taking place at the former Diriyah circuit. Now, a new challenge at Jeddah, and unfortunately, it has not been a particularly happy hunting ground so far. Let's have a look at this through the penultimate chicane. You can see him curb hopping over there. The car not looking quite as compliant as he was. Bit of a snap of oversteer on the exit, which should have just cost him a bit of time as he runs it down into that final chicane. That is a shame there for Antonio Felix da Costa. He'll be disappointed with that, as will Tag Heuer Porsche. So then over to Group B. These are the drivers who will be competing in this one. Oliver Rowland, Pascal Verline, Jake Dennis, Jean-Eric Verne, Edo Mortara, as well as Stoffel van Dorn, Dan Tickton, Jake Hughes, Norman Natto, Zane Maloney, and also David Beckman in the Cupra Kiro. So 11 drivers in this one, and exactly the same as we had in Group A a few moments ago.
And the green light is on. We're underway then for the next session. And hopefully it'll be an interesting one to get out there. Another 12 minutes then, Jack, and beautiful skies above Jeddah right now. This is beautiful. We don't sometimes when we come here for Formula One, bit of cloud. Like we never run this early in the day. It looks beautiful, that city.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think I'd survive 5 minutes there being a ginger, but but yeah, it does look very nice conditions out there. I think track temperature was something like 35 degrees at the start of practice earlier today, and the air temperature is somewhere around about 27. So I'm not sure whether it would have heated up or dropped because they're so close to the coast. Usually in the desert it gets hotter as the day goes on, but yeah.
Got an 8-kilometre-hour wind speed, 63% chance of rain though, but the one big thing at this
63, what?
63, yeah.
Desert.
The one thing you've got to remember as well is there's a lot of salt in the air, so that plays a big factor here with in terms of the way that the track grips up very quickly, because it's sort of sandy salt on the surface and the tyres rip it up, so it sort of shreds the start of the surface. So it's been treated actually with a bit of Technicolor stuff as well. As Taylor Barnard walks back through. Yeah, the circuit coated with its traditional uses of bitumen, etc., but it actually has a bit of a extra gloss over the surface just to stop it getting chewed up so much. After the first year of Formula One here, they had a bit of work to do within 6 months to fix a couple of bit of the barriers as well and some of the tarmacs. But we're only here for another couple of years for Formula One before we move over to a new city and a new circuit, which really terrifies me, because turn one is an elevated platform that is going to be held up by plinths, and you're racing uphill on plinths with no catch fencing. One Max Verstappen wrong move and we have a big problem on our hands.
Yeah, honestly, thank God Mark Webber's retired. He only had big accidents in his career. But yeah, Formula One might not be the only series going there, because I've heard some things about, even though we've only just moved to Jeddah, Jeddah might be temporary, and Formula E might be moving there somewhere halfway through Gen 4 or something like that. As it stands, we are at the Jeddah track, and will remain at the Jeddah track for the next 3 years or something like that, but after that we'll have to see.
I did enjoy Diriyah, I will admit. Diriyah was an interesting little circuit, but it outgrew it quickly.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I love the slalom section down the hill. It was a properly fun circuit, and I know that the drivers loved it. And this circuit, I think the fact that it's truncated, I don't think it's got the same character that Diriyah had. But now that the cars are getting quicker, we need to be racing on these circuits that can hold these sort of speeds.
Still think we should go Brands Hatch. If we can't do London, Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit.
Agreed. And I work at Silverstone, so I want them to go to Brands. So that's how I feel about it.
Just don't call it the Kent EPrix or something daft. Call it what it should be.
No.
The Brands Hatch.
Oh,
EPrix.
please call it the Kent EPrix, because I want to listen to some foreign languages and they'll get the word slightly wrong, and I'd quite like to hear that.
I would actually, I don't know, if it does go to Brands Hatch, yes, I'd go, but I don't think I'd like it because the Wi-Fi at Brands Hatch is terrible and packed.
Oh yeah, no, it is bad.
Silverstone was excellent, actually. It's a compliment to Silverstone. I'll be heading there for European Le Mans.
Yeah, but yeah, London will be on the calendar for the next couple of years to the end of the Gen 3 Evo, and then after that, the XL Centre will not. Well, I'd be very surprised if it hosts Formula E after that.
Let's move into the Birmingham. The what is it? Oh, what's that? Where did I just go to Autosport International? What was it?
The NEC.
NEC, that's it. Let's move it there. It's big enough.
Yeah. Copy paste the format.
Yeah. Thing is though,
What was your uncle?
stupidly, it's big enough, the NEC, to hold a Formula E
It
track.
could.
It's
Yeah.
massive.
And I know you can drive into it because my brother's driven into the NEC in his little Skoda Citigo. So here's Dennis on the radio.
Reyes went in. So much oversteered first half of
Yeah,
that.
he's just saying the rear of the car.
Yeah, as you can see, it's snapping through exit 1 and 2. Yeah,
He was having a lot of problems during free practice earlier today.
He was, and he's still not happy with the rear bounce of the car. And I'm not surprised he's still top of the session, but we're not into the go moment yet of this second part of qualifying.
No, they'll start building up and set sort of banker times. I think in Group A, I was a little bit off with my 16.5 by about a second, so it was about a 17.5. So if we can get to, once we get to like the 17.5s, we will. There'll be the banker times, but because the track will rubber in, I reckon that we could get to 17.3.
What I've just realised is this is the first Formula E qualifying I've done since, well, not even London. It's been a very long time since I've done a Formula E qualifying session. What was the one? Where were we just before London?
Just before London was
Portland, was it?
Yes, Portland.
There.
Portland was before London.
So around about 9 months since I've commentated on a qualifying session for Formula E. As Roland.
Yeah, and we've spent half of this one talking about different circuits.
We have, yeah.
So,
Finally,
shows a lot, but Roland's on a quick one here.
1:17.650. Not quite at the go point yet, but it's Roland, Verline, Tickton, Van Dorn. So far through to the Jules, and we get Dennis, Nato, Hughes, Beckman, Maloney, and Vern. Oh, and then Mortars on the outside. Let's have a look at one. Yeah, this was Roland into turn 1. To me, he looked quite snappy, especially in that last chicane. The car seemed to turn immediately. That's the advantage of this four-wheel drive. You point it somewhere, it goes immediately. There's no lag at all anymore.
Yeah, it's worth noting, four-wheel drive that isn't in this section. Yeah. It only comes in from the Jules.
So it's rear-wheel drive only at this point. In that case, then.
Yeah, because because they're all at 300. When they go to 350, that's when the four-wheel drive comes in. And so we'll see speeds greatly increased.
First session I've commentated, so didn't know that.
Yeah.
To come in.
Do not worry. Yeah.
But if that car is as snappy as that in rear-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, that Nissan, you can see why it was overtaking like crazy in the opening 2 races of the year and making moves. I'm actually excited for the race later for four-wheel drive. I really am.
Yeah. I think this circuit is a track that sort of lends it to it as well. I think it would have been interesting to see. I think the circuit is very similar to Portland that we've had the last 2 years. Admittedly, I was not a fan of the Portland races because I wasn't big on the peloton style.
Yeah.
It just seemed too chaotic. But with this era of attack mode, it's chaotic in a good way. Whereas last year the chaos just sort of felt artificial because no one wanted to lead, so you're just giving away the lead. Whereas you go into attack mode this year and you just go.
Yeah, it's proper attack as the definition, and it sort of makes you wonder what the first 2 seasons could have been like with Gen 3 if it had all gone to plan and not had to be waiting for Gen 3 Evo. As NATO goes third. Tictum in the top.
Yeah, Tictum to the top now. Yeah, the Cooper Kiro working very well at the moment. But we're going to see Verline over the line now.
Yeah, that's
Can he get back into the duels?
Can.
With that time, goes to the top.
117.494. Vern just behind him. Third place. That kicks out Roland and NATO. So 2 Nissans have got massive amounts of work to do. As Oliver Turvey watches on.
And look at the gaps as well. There's only 700 separating the top 4 at the moment. And looking down, there's only 4 tenths between... and Maloney's in last at the moment, only 4 tenths off. There's only 10 runners. Who are we missing?
Mortara.
Missing Edo Mortara. Which is a shame, because I put him down as one of my qualifiers. So, not sure what's happening there.
I'm having a bit of dizziness from the rapid camera cuts there from Aurora Media. Buemi and Muller noted for an instant between them in this qualifying as well. So I wonder where that's going to be fun. That was obviously
interesting.
Yeah, that was in Group 1. So Buemi finished 9th in that session. Muller finished 8th, and they're under investigation for something. Just an incident. That's been flagged up on our timing monitors as I hear a whining noise in the background that sounds like some camera static from the trackside cameras. A minute to go. Drivers coming into the last sector now, as you can see on your driver tracker. If you're watching on with us, it's there from Jay Dennis again.
And having a last goal.
So I think realistically we're still looking at a 17.5 for the duels, 17.5.
Yeah, that was kind of...
Okay.
Oh, we're already down into the 17.4s, and 17.5 is where Roland is at the moment, and he's out of the duels at the moment.
Looking at the boards, the only driver who's going to miss this line is going to be Stoffel Van Dorn, because Jake Hughes is coming across the line now, so Van Dorn is going to be your benchmarker here. First sector is down. Second sector is better. It's a 24.103 across our monitors as he comes into turn
Vern
13.
quickest in sector 1.
Here we go. Checkered flags is out, and the session will come to a close in 3, 2, 1. Here's Van Dorn over the line. Again, that's just confusing me to have this last chicane. Through we go. Curve it out, over now the controls, and what is the time for Van Dorn? It is not good enough. Wow. Oh, and NATO twitching. Not looking good there. Oh, and he clambers the curb. NATO's had a scruffy lap here, and it's not going to be good enough. NATO stays 6th. Dan Tictum.
Tictum is still 2nd, which is fantastic for the Cooper Kiro team.
Beckman's gone into 9th. Verline was... Oops! That's Oliver Rowland, who had a big moment there.
No, that is the Andretti. That's the Andretti. That's Jake Dennis.
Oh, it's
Dennis is
Dennis. Right, sorry. That's, yes.
Yeah.
So Dennis...
Sorry, Rowland was on the timing screen, but that was Dennis having a bad exit. So Dennis
Here he
is out. Beckman's out. Maloney's out. It's down to Rowland.
Yes!
He goes top, knocks out Jake Hughes, but Hughes is on the lap.
Hughes could
comes
kick
to the
out
line
Vern.
now.
Hughes kicks out Vern, Jack. Wow! Jeff's out.
Wow.
Tictum's through. Ha! I didn't see... Look, that's 4 different manufacturers. Nissan, Maserati, Porsche and Cooper Cairo all going through. Didn't expect that.
That is fantastic, especially for Cooper Kiro to get into the duels. I'm a little bit annoyed because I wanted to put Tictum in my my thing, but I thought of the 4 that got through that were going to get through. I thought he'd be 5th. So well done to Dan Tictum. We don't know what's happened to Edo Mortara.
Yes, he's out of that.
We'll have to find out what's happened there and get back to everyone on that. But
we just saw
but
Dennis,
which is gutting because the Mahindra had fantastic pace over the course of the 3 practice sessions, and so it's unfortunate that Edo didn't get out in that session.
And his teammates gone through. Of course,
but it means that we've got Dan Tictum in the duels, along with is that a first duel appearance of the year for Jake Hughes as well?
I believe so. Yeah.
Not unhappy with my lap. That's literally all I could do.
It's Dennis's radio across the board. Yeah, I think it is Hughes' first appearance from Maserati of the year. Off the top of my head, I'll find my notes from qualifying. As the end then of the group stages, we have our drivers going through. Barnard, Gunther, De Vries, Evans from Group 1, Roland, Hughes, Verline, Tictum from Group 2. Out go Group 1, Cassidy, Bird, DaCosta, Mullen, Boemi, Degrassi and Frines. Group 2, Vern, Nato, Van Dorn, Dennis, Beckman, Maloney and Mortara are the drivers that get eliminated. So the duels coming up shortly. And look at that, 43,000 was Vern to Tictum. That's all it took around this circuit as well. Right, we'll have a quick break. We'll hand it over to the world feed as we get ready for the duels.
Pascal Verline back into the box. 3rd quickest for him at the end of Group B qualifying. And we wait to see what the German driver could do. 2 pole positions for him in season 11. Let's convert that to a visit to the top step of the podium. Here's what happened to Vern in the final chicane. He was way too deep.
That's such a shame for him. So was this on his best lap?
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Just you see there, rear instability on the way in. Car's starting to oversteer, and the problem is by the time he's corrected it, he's already 3 or 4 meters offline, isn't he?
Yeah, ambition over addition, really, wasn't it? When he went charging into that corner there. So Nico Muller on the other side of the Penske garage.
Yeah, keen to see what Max Günther is going to be able to do then. Here he is in the DS Penske.
Did I say Nico Muller?
You did. Sorry, another German driver, don't worry. Well,
they're both tall.
Quite. To be fair, Nico Muller's Swiss, but he speaks German. Anyway, let's have a look then and see what is going to happen in the dual stages of qualifying. So, here is Nick De Vries. As you can see there, 2021 Formula E champion. See what is going to happen there for him in the Mahindra. And looking forward to the dual stages of qualifying. So Jean-Eric Verne's car makes his way down pit lane then, as the preparations take place for the dual stages. And of course the dual stages do mean that we go into 4-wheel drive. We have the full deployment of 350 kilowatts of power ready for the driver. So not a lot of time, especially for those in Group B, to rest really ahead of this one. The first group of drivers that will be going head-to-head include this man here, Nick De Vries, along with Maximilian Günther. There's Nato and Dennis, bit of a bromance that formed with part of their partnership at Andretti last year. There, unfortunately, means that there is both of those drivers not making it through into the dual stages. So there's Nato, and you can see the rear instability for him, just not able to get that car hooked up at all in that penultimate chicane. The disappointment there for the French driver, especially given the fact that, well, we expected Nato to be bringing that fight up to the sharper end of the field, especially for Nissan as well. They're languishing down in 4th in the standings at the moment. 25 points they've got on the board, and that's courtesy entirely from Oliver Rowland from that victory in Mexico City last time out. So once again, it rests on Rowland's shoulders to get them in that fight for pole.
So that is the first part of qualifying wrapped here in Jeddah. The group stages have been complete, and it has thrown up a few unexpected surprise results. Taylor Barnard for McLaren in effectively his first rookie season, his full season for the team, has managed to go quickest in his group session. Absolutely phenomenal result for him. But then on the other side, we've got our current championship leader, Antonio Felix Costa, who has not made it through. Katie, how much of an impact is that going to have on his race?
It will. Obviously, it's going to be a completely new race. None of us can really predict it with a new pit boost, but I think it just shows how different these cars are to drive between 300 kilowatts and 350 kilowatts. Obviously, we saw him going to the top of the times about half an hour ago in free practice 2, but that was with 350 kilowatts on a fast lap. So it's handling very differently when it's back in 300, and the margins are so slim, it's very hard to be quick in both.
How much is that going to affect and sort of shake Antonio Felix da Costa's confidence going into the race? You know, he's qualified, you know, very much towards the top in the first couple of races. Is it going to be playing on his mind, and will that carry out?
No, he's moved on already. He's not a rookie. You know, he's done this rodeo a few times. So yeah, of course he would have liked the experience of going into the next stage and experiencing more of the car and showing the speed. But it's one session, and there's a long way between now and checker flag.
This is true. The other driver who hasn't got through, Nick Cassidy, again, who had so many hopes and expectations coming into qualifying today. Not a good one.
Yeah, and his teammate Evans just getting through. I think he's been struggling all morning, really. He didn't look very happy at all after free practice 2. I don't really know what was wrong for him, but as we say, the margins are so slim here. And yeah, as DC says, though, it's only qualifying, and anything is to play for in these races with the new attack mode. We've seen how much influence that has and how many passes you can overtake. I think qualifying is not as important here as normal, I would say.
She said it. Let's take a look at what happened in Group B. Again, kind of to see Oliver Rowland back on top. Expected, really. He's doing so well in both the race and his qualifying form. But then the likes of Nato, Van Dorn, Dennis is around.
Yeah, Dennis was really unhappy after free practice this morning. I think the same problem that he was having before last year and into this year. But yeah, it was a shame also to see Nato out. He was really quick as well. Obviously, his teammates gone fastest in the session, so that's a shame. But also for Porsche, they've managed to get Verlaine in, so that was a good result for them as well.
Yeah, and talking of good results, both Jake Hughes and Dan Ticktum are into the duels for the very first time. Obviously, Jake Hughes, this is the first time he's doing it wearing the Maserati colours, so a big moment for him.
It is, and I think also, as you mentioned there, a big moment for Kiro as well, to show the team with that Porsche power getting stabilised, understanding the systems and starting to exploit the performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now they have to change their, well, I suppose the mindset, but also the performance of the car. They move up into 350 kilowatts. How hard is it to put in the perfect lap? You only get one shot when you go into the duels.
I honestly think this is my favourite part of a race weekend, watching these duels. The race is amazing to watch, but when you see this world-class performance over one lap, it is so exciting to watch. I think as a driver, this is where I'd feel the heat the most, I guess, having to lay it down. And yeah, they've got one shot, so they've got to go for it.
Could you handle the intensity of this format, DC, if it was you?
Listen, I was always about checker flag. Anything between now and then it's good for the confidence, but I've been in pole positions and then ended up not finishing. So, you know, checker flag's always where it is. But it's a magical moment for the driver, because this is the fastest moment you're probably going to have during the weekend.
Come on then. So, predictions. Who's going to be on pole position for the first time in Jeddah?
I'm staying with it. I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in with Rowland. I said it yesterday, and I'm going again today.
Okay, well, I'll go with Barnard, because I think that was an amazing performance.
Ooh.
And yeah, it was a really quick time as well.
Ah, okay. So we could see our very first pole position for Taylor Barnard. But what do we know? Not much. Anyway, it is now time for the group stages are over, and it's time to head into the duels and find out who is going to be taking the first pole position here in Jeddah. Could it be Pascal Verlaine? 3 poles on the bounce. Let's find out.
So then,
tension rising as we gear up for the start of the duels here then at the Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia, round 3 of the season. Barnard, Gunther, De Vries, Evans, Rowland, Hughes, Verlaine and Ticktum, they're your 8 drivers, and the first up for the duel is going to be Nick De Vries and Maximilian Gunther. History suggests that those who go out second in these runs tend to have more of a run. Here's what happened in qualifying though with Tom Brooks.
Qualifying, we got Group A underway in the sunshine here this afternoon. This was Taylor Barnard putting in a very strong performance. Unfortunately for Robin Freins, he had a spin down at the first turn right into the path of Max Günther. Freins unlucky to miss out on a position in the duels, courtesy of some lost running also in free practice too. As we look at these highlights, let's head down to Karun ahead of the dual stages of qualifying. He's at the EPad. Karun, what have you got for us?
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, just look at a couple of people here. One is Antonio Felix da Costa, the World Championship leader. And he was on a good lap the first two sectors, but then his last sector was just a bit scruffy here. He dropped 3/10. Look at that, big snaps of oversteer just to the apex of 13, quite close to the wall. And again, I'll just slow down when he gets to the chicane. Watch his hands there. There's a lot of hesitations. The car not quite hooked up as it bounces over the curbs there for him. Went a bit deep. That tightened up the line for that left-hand part of the chicane there, the penultimate chicane, I should say. And then we come into the final chicane. Gets up onto the wall there. That's pretty good. He got, you know, quite good rotation on the way in and for the left, but just didn't quite have enough speed. So he dropped 3/10 just in the last sector compared to Taylor Barnard, who was the fastest in that group. And that 3/10 was the difference between him getting in and out. I'll just look at Barnard here in that final sector, just for you to see a contrast. So we'll move it along here through the bus stop, and this is where that final sector starts to kick in. Just watch the difference. We saw how messy it was for da Costa. Look at Barnard there. Bit of correction on the way in, but the nose goes into the apex, and he's just carrying momentum. He's carrying more speed. Even though the car looks lively, he's just able to commit a bit more speed, and great rotation over the curb. That is important for him, so it doesn't stop. He doesn't stop that momentum in the middle part of the chicane. Now, Oliver Rowland, he was the fastest of anybody in the first two groups. A brilliant 17.1. But it was the first sector for him. He was 2/10 quicker than the two drivers behind him. And this is where he made up his time. Fantastic compliance over the curbs there. He's able to really carry a lot of momentum over it. Into turn 4, look how well the nose goes into the apex. So neat and tidy. And they've really got the front end of this Nissan dialed in. And I think that is particularly helpful for him to just, in these tight, twisty corners we've got, these slow corners we've got here, in contrast to Diriyah, that Nissan and Oliver Rowland are working very, very well.
Thank you very much indeed there, Karun. Yep, nice to get an idea of exactly what happened over the course of that lap and see who were the sort of big winners and losers in the group stages of qualifying. What an atmosphere and what a venue we've got here in Jeddah. Our first time here, of course, on the Cornish coast. Don't forget about the Formula E predictor as well. Scan the QR code on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Tell us who you think is going to be the driver that will be going forwards from the quarterfinals and into the semi-finals. And who are the two drivers that we ultimately will be having in that fight for pole position as well for the first time here. Hugely exciting. And as I understand it, a near capacity crowd here this weekend as well, which is just wonderful to see. Great atmosphere, great investment from Jeddah and for Saudi Arabia, from the PIF, the Public Investment Fund as well. It's just been wonderful to be so welcomed here for Formula E for our first time in this part of the country. Of course, Formula E has been coming to Saudi Arabia since 2018 when we were last in Diriyah, and we were racing under the floodlights actually since 2021. But now our first visit to this new circuit and our first time to see these drivers out on track very shortly for the dual stages as we get ready for this one to get underway. It'll be Nyck de Vries versus Maximilian Günther along the way first here.
Duel 1 getting underway then for quarter-final. Nyck de Vries versus Maximilian Günther. Predictor vote 75% for Günther, 25% for Nyck de Vries as well. Joshua Burch and Jack Pickering alongside you in the commentary box for this one. Pico, we're going to head out then onto the circuit, and really, it's been unknown, this one. You would say, obviously, Günther, but that Mahindra's been looking quite quick over the course of this weekend so far.
Yeah, I've just done my little predictor app on here as well, and I went for Max Günther as well. I think it will be closer than we think. I think Max Günther, he is a qualifying specialist, and that's putting nothing on Nyck de Vries. Obviously, he went away for a stint in F1, came back with the Mahindra team last year. Had a shaky start, but he's built himself back up to Formula E. I just think that Günther, he's just a qualifying specialist, and that's why he's my pick to go through out of these two.
I'll tell you what is quite interesting. First race of the year, I've been in the commentary box for a qualifying session, and the amount of work I've had to do to set up all the new little screens is insane. Because you've been stuck for the previous 2 races with last year's systems, and this year we've now got the dual screen, we've got the battle screens, the qualifying screens. It's all different for you. Literally, there's, what, 3 different types of sessions? There's 3 different types of graphics. It's unbelievable how much we've got to contend with here. The race later as well, we've got some new graphics to play with, including pit lane, lap time, gap interval, and live during the race, I'm even going to set up the attack mode so that we know who's where and when, instead of it just flashing. Away we go then for quarterfinal 1, Jack. De Vries out first, and he's okay into 1 and 2, but that's an easy one to get right.
Yeah, so the first 2 corners of the lap, the same first 2 corners from the Formula 1 track. They then go through that little kink of 3, because they name corners for literally anything here in Saudi Arabia. And then they've got a hairpin at 4 that rejoins the Formula 1 circuit at the end of the Sector 2 mark. They then got a couple of chicanes to negotiate on the back straight and the front straight before they come back to start the finish line. But we're through Sector 1 already, and Max Günther is up by just under a quarter of a second.
Seeing the picture-in-picture, which is how they should always do it. We should have the onboard of both drivers to see what's going on, not flipping between the 2. Onboard with Günther now through the bus stop chicane, and he's carrying a lot of speed. He's 3/10 up already on De Vries. De Vries not having the best run here. 21.5 first sector for De Vries, 21.3 for Günther. Sector 2 for De Vries, 23.6, and Gunther's a 23.598. So already De Vries monstering ahead, Jack.
It's going to take a lot for Nick De Vries to try and beat him now. It's now 4/10 off as De Vries comes to the line, a 1:16.2, and Max Günther is almost 6/10 in front, Josh, coming into the final chicane.
This is, oops, hello, I heard something clunk there over the line. He shouldn't be too much over it, and it's 7/10. Günther takes it by a country mile.
3/4 of a second there, the gap it was between Günther and De Vries.
It's always those who go out second. It's always. So Günther will be into the first semi-final. Let's have a look at a replay. This was Gunther's radio.
I think that was a stellar lap from Günther. Here's Günther on the radio.
Look at you so fast, 7/10. Good job, mate. Good job.
They would.
Yeah, bigging him up. He was jumping over those coaches, you said.
A 15.5 though. That is close to where we were in free practice 2 earlier on. So, yeah, this is a bit closer now for quarterfinal 2. It's Mitch Evans versus Taylor Barnard. Evans has taken it, but by 53% to 47. I think this is going to be a lot closer. I went for Taylor Barnard in my predictions here. We'll have to see as Evans starts his lap.
Down into turn 1. Bit slow on entry compared to what we just saw in the previous 2. Right up against the exit wall at 3 into 4 on Almond with Barnard. Barnard, of course, topped Group A, fastest overall. He got it by 79 thousandths of a second. He's already up in the first mini sector at turn 1, 2 and 3 by a 1/10 of a second. Now it's 42 thousandths. It's closing. Evans catching him up there as he's in to turns 8, 9, 10 and 11, the bus stop. So
yeah, coming out through there, then on to the back straight, coming up to turn 13, which is the what is usually the final corner on the Formula 1 circuit, but we've got a couple more chicanes to negotiate before getting to the line, but it's looking all right. But Barnard's just lost a lot of time. He's lost 1/10 and a half, and it's only 100th between them.
This is very, very close now. Sector 1 for Evans, 21.3, 21.2 for Barnard. Sector 2 for Evans, 23.4. Barnard, 23.7. Cross the line then for Evans. Sector 3 is a 30.6. He goes top of the 1:15.574.
That's a very quick lap time.
This is going to be close again. Barnard made a mistake somewhere on that lap we didn't see. This is why we need picture-in-picture. Please, Aurora Worldwide Media, across the line for Barnard, and he does go through by 14 thousandths of a second.
Wow.
1:15.560. Barnard makes it, but by the skin of his teeth.
It was ebbing and flowing throughout that entire lap. It looked like Barnard had the measure over the first part of the lap. There must have been something on that lap which meant that Barnard lost that time, and then it was hundreds, if not thousands, between Barnard and Evans throughout that lap. But it's Barnard who makes it through to the semi-finals.
What a job. Great one.
Yeah, but where was that mistake to lose that much time? It was quite off it. Okay, so they've had a head-to-head before, these two. It's Pascal Wehrlein and Jake Hughes. Predictor vote says that Pascal Wehrlein will get through. That's kind of predicted. Wehrlein will go first, though, so he'll have to be the first one to go first and get ahead.
Into turn 1 now. It looks very clean from Wehrlein throughout 1 and 2. Hughes will be starting his lap shortly as well, but into the hairpin at turn 4. He held the apex quite nice. We're now on board with Hughes coming into turn 1. Let's see what his first game's like. Took a lot of curb into T1, but it didn't affect him too much, and he's 4 thousandths up. Now 69 thousandths up coming into the hairpin as Wehrlein's into the chicane.
Pattern starting to form here that whoever's second on the track gets the better grip, but Wehrlein is fighting those odds like he has nearly all his career in Formula E. Into the turn 13, then the penultimates coming up at the chicanes, and he's further ahead now. Hughes has lost 2 tenths in that middle sector, 23.6 for sector 2 compared to a 23.4 for Wehrlein. So this looks like it's going to go the way of the champion from last year. Oh, but he's going into deep.
Hughes is closing.
Hughes went deep. He went deep into turn 13. He's lost out massively. 7 tenths, it's done. He went so far deep. 1:15.3, but Hughes went deep.
I missed that on the picture. Sorry about that.
He's
coming into the final chicane now, but it's going to be too little, too late. He could get ahead of Nick de Vries in terms of lap time here. He crosses the line 9 tenths of a second, almost a second down. A 16.3, which is just a tenth slower than Nick de Vries. So
if it helps,
Hughes goes into provisional 8.
I missed it too.
Have you written down the times?
Me, no.
Okay.
We've not got time for that. They fly off the time so quick.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I was thinking, have you done that quickly? Anyway, here's Wehrlein.
That's a comeback, huh? Yeah. Okay, so you threw me.
I know you know my qualifying tracker, but literally all I've managed to do is write the names down and get them as to where's going where. It's been that type of day. Right, this is Hughes.
Yeah, Hughes, he just... I think he was just sort of offline and tried to send it into the corner, but he was going deep regardless there.
Here's a surprise though, the head-to-head before Ticktum and Roland, it was Dan Ticktum who won it. So this is looking good for him. And the Cooper
however, Roland's been mega quick so far.
And now has that 350 kilowatt 4-wheel drive, and I mentioned earlier on how planted that car looked in 2-wheel drive, and he's already so good through the first sector as well, and that car is planted.
But Ticktum looked a little bit wide going into the hairpin, so we might see a shift in form. Currently Roland's down, Roland is now up, so Ticktum did lose a little bit of time coming through the turn 4 hairpin, as now Ticktum comes through the bus stop chicane. Ticktum has raced here before, back in his Formula 2 days, and so has a little bit of knowledge of this circuit, but it's looking like the Kia row with the power drain from last season is no match for the Nissan at the moment. It's almost 2 tenths of a second in favour of Roland now.
This is looking very good as they are envisioned with each other on the circuit. It's supposed to be a gap of 15 seconds. They are right there together on their cool-down laps. So this will be quick. Ticktum, it's across the line for him with a time of a 1:15.754.
I believe that puts him 6th.
And Roland blitzes him by 3 tenths, 1:15.371. So it's Roland second on the track to go through. He'll face Wehrlein. Wow.
So I believe that means that Mitch Evans will start 5th, Tickton will start 6th, De Vries 7th, Hughes 8th. I could be wrong, but from what I remember of the lap times, that's what's in my head.
So we've got semi-final 1 with Gunther and Barnard, and semi-final 2 with Verline and Roland, if you want to know, back at home. That's how
Verline
it's
and Roland's going to be a very interesting semi-final.
Let's have a word with Ollie Roland then, as we'll hear him on the team radio, presumably, if that's going to pop up. Or is he going to be the first one of this duel not to have a radio? It is the first one not to have a radio. Of course it is. There's Dan Tickton. Now, is this his mistake? Coming into turn... Well, this is 5. There it was.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
Off the track there,
Oh.
Jack.
That might be deleted for track limits. We're going to have to keep an eye on that between now and when the semi-finals start. I assume it wouldn't take them too long to decide that, but it won't affect the duels whatsoever because Tickton is out. And so it's just whether he will keep that lap time and start 6th, or whether he will be... Oh, and it's just come up on the timing screen. The Tickton's time has been deleted for track limits, which means that he will now be 8th. It doesn't affect the duels whatsoever. It's still Barnard and... Who else?
It will be
Barnard
Gunther, Barnard, Verline, Roland.
Yeah, there we go.
So luckily it doesn't affect that.
I forgot who the other one.
So, not a bad first part of the quarterfinals. Now we go through to the semi-finals. They'll be coming up shortly. We'll hand over to the world feed.
It's time. Of course, track beginning to evolve. Just a confirmation that Dan Tickton's lap time was deleted for the track limits that we saw down at turn 5. That big snap of oversteer that he had down there. So, not much of a surprise there at all because he was 4 wheels off the circuit, as we saw. You can see there, Taylor Barnard, he's got the lowest average qualifying position so far in season 11. If we look back to Sao Paulo, he was 17th on the grid but came through to take a podium. Last time out in Mexico City, he was down in 19th on the grid. So his qualifying performances haven't been particularly that brilliant, but he's still been able to get some results out of that McLaren car. And let's see whether he's able to do so here later on as we go through into those semi-finals. Just confirmation, you can see the graphic on the screen saying that Tickton's lap time was deleted for those track limits down at turn 5. That's a shame there for Dan Tickton and also for Cupra Kiro as well, their first appearance in the duels under the Kiro guys. Of course, new owners as well. Idris Elba, part of the consortium of investors in that team, announced this week. Nonetheless, good to see that they've had the pace to fight further up the order. If you compare to where they were at this time last year as ERT with their own power plant, night and day the difference in performance for those drivers and teams. So then, time to do it all over again for the likes of this man here, Maximilian Günther. He'll be up first with Taylor Barnard. He's got his eyes closed here. Do you reckon he's just visualising what a perfect lap looks like?
That, and also taking advantage of a nice cooling breeze from the fan that was blowing into the cockpit. But yeah, it's common practice to sort of catch your breath, reflect on what you could have done better on the previous run, and then try and manifest that in positive thoughts and visuals ahead of going out and doing the lap. How do you feel, Burun, as you went into qualifying? Did you feel empowered, or did you feel okay? let's see how this works out.
Just see how it works out. Yeah. Normally not very well.
Yeah. So Pascal Verline sits there, just watching on at the moment, deep in thought. 2 pole positions for him so far in 2024, and be keen to see what he is going to be able to do in this session. You can see there, Günther 6th on the grid for him last time. Taylor Barnard also in the box there as well. We'll see how this works out for Barnard in the Neon McLaren machine, as the drivers just gearing themselves up then for their second run in the duels. This man here, sadly, not part of it. Mitch Evans knocked out qualifying by Barnard. So then, ready to go for the semi-finals in a few moments' time here at the Corniche circuit in Jeddah. Our first visit to this part of Saudi Arabia, and very excited to see how the semi-finals and indeed the finals for our first chance qualifying here is going to shape up. This is Maximilian Günther. He will be going head-to-head with Taylor Barnard in a few moments' time. Let's catch up, though, with Nick de Vries before we get into the semi-finals. He, unfortunately, was knocked out of qualifying in the quarter-finals, and he caught up with Katie a few moments ago.
Nick, it was great to see you in the duels today. You must be happy with the performance so far.
Yeah, it's been nice to progress to the duels. I think the whole day we've been pretty strong in 300, but lacking a little bit in 350 as we've seen now. I just didn't quite have the same grip that I was hoping and expecting, but yeah, overall nice to get through to the duels and yeah, start at least in top 10.
Best of luck for the race.
Yeah, good to hear there for Nick de Vries. I'm sure a little bit of disappointment, but still cause for him to try and smile ahead of the EPrix later on here tonight, taking place 8 p.m. local time, so in just under 4 hours' time in Jeddah. And we'll see what he is going to be able to do. Let's catch up, though, with Mitch Evans, another driver who unfortunately was also knocked out in qualifying by the young hotshot Taylor Barnard a few moments' time. Let's see what the Kiwi's got to say. He's driving for Jaguar.
Unlucky there, Mitch. It's so tight in the dual stages. How is the feeling with the Jaguar on this track this weekend?
We're struggling, to be honest. Yeah, both teams are struggling. So I was surprised to make it through to the duels. But obviously wanted to make the most of it. Just came up short. I gave my best. But yeah, we have some work to do for the race and also for tomorrow. So yeah, it's a shame. But since we got here, it's been a bit of a struggle.
Do you think your race performance will be better than the qualifying performance? Is there anything that you think you can turn around?
Hard to say. Obviously, the conditions will be different. We've got the pit boost as well, so hopefully, strategy-wise, we can be clever and maximize that. But normally qualifying pace does carry over to race pace. So obviously, we'll try some stuff and hopefully turn things around and just get ourselves a bit closer to the front guys.
Fingers crossed for you guys. Good luck.
Good to hear there from Mitch Evans. So struggling, he puts it pretty bluntly, doesn't he? And that's a bit of a surprise, really, given the form that we've seen for Jaguar and for Porsche. If you look at the form book, you're going to be wanting a Jaguar or a Porsche powertrain, but seemingly the former is struggling here this weekend.
Yeah, it's very difficult to try and put your finger on why it seems, particularly this weekend, more than others. But certainly there's some head scratching going on there.
Certainly is. So then we shift our attention over to the semi-finals. Drivers making their way to the end of the pit lane. Let's just remind us how we got here, though, for round 3 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. So we had de Vries versus Günther, Evans versus Barnard, Wehrlein versus Hughes, Ticktum versus Rowland. In the semi-finals, we'll see Taylor Barnard in the Neon McLaren versus Maximilian Günther, and then we'll see the Porsche of Wehrlein versus the Nissan of Oliver Rowland. 2 drivers from these semi-finals will go forwards into the finals. Either one of them will be starting the front row, but of course they'll be wanting to get themselves onto pole position at the all-important 3 points.
So, semi-final time, and it's Taylor Barnard versus Maximilian Günther. Predictor vote's quite tight on this one. 57% for Barnard, 43% for Günther as well. And McLaren versus Penske. It's an interesting call, Jack, here, because we don't actually know what we're going to see next.
Been on fire so far throughout this qualifying session. He topped the group stages. He beat Mitch Evans, which is a very hard thing to do, by just a few thousandths of a second. However, he is up against one of the best qualifiers in the series in Max Günther. It's going to be interesting, but Barnard's got a Nissan powertrain under him, and I'd give Nissan the advantage over a Stellantis powertrain, but it's going to be extremely interesting because Günther isn't going to give this up without a fight.
So it was a 15.371 from Rowland. That was your fastest time in the duels. For comparison, Barnard's lap time in his session was a 1:15.560. Günther's lap time was a 1:15.472. So Günther should be quicker than Barnard in this situation of the duel run.
We'll have to see. Günther's got track advantage as well by being behind Barnard on circuit. But, yeah.
It's going to be so tight to call this one. It's what we love about Formula E's duels. Although we wish they would speed up a bit. with fast charging now available, we shouldn't need to be waiting 10 minutes for sessions.
I mean, they only do one lap as well. I think it's mainly for the tyres. It's for the tyres. But even then, yeah, the gaps do feel a little bit long. But it's time for the semi-finals now, and Taylor Barnard's about to start his lap.
So, in towards turn 1, heavy braking zone on the circuit. You're not really regenerating too much when you're at 350 kilowatts per hour and max attack. It's sort of rich fuel mode, if you will imagine that, if you used to play the F1 games back in the day. Now on board with Gunther. Conservative approach into turn 1, but he was calmer on throttle. Barnard looked like he was rigging the thing as we now look at the two side by side with Barnard delayed a bit.
You got your wish, Josh, but Barnard is a little bit wide coming into turn 4, and he might lose a little bit of time there to Max Gunther. Gunther's closed up a little bit, now just 400ths of a second. They're coming up to the bus stop chicane now.
This is very, very tight as well, but we know that Barnard's TV pitches are delayed, so he's coming into turn 14, 15, 16 now, and Gunther nearly in the wall, and Barnard nearly in the wall as well. They're both controlling it nicely through the bus stop. Down now towards turn 13. It's going to be very tight. Who's going into turn 13? Yeah, Barnard's got a better exit.
Gunther it's a little bit closer to the apex, and it's paid dividends. He's now over a 10.5 up, coming into the two final chicanes.
Yeah, Barnard, though, he's going to try and fight back to all it's worth. Barnard's lap time was a 1:15.396. He was fastest in Sector 1 compared to Gunther. Here's Gunther now across the line. He's got Sector 2 on his side. It looks like he's got Sector 3, and he does. Gunther goes through to the final. Wow. DS Penske didn't see that coming. I thought Barnard might have it.
Yeah, Gunther in the DS. He is so good at qualifying, and so it's not a huge surprise. That was always going to be a close semi-final, but yeah, Gunther just had the better there.
Sliding like absolute crazy. Also, something that will slot in now as we wait for Verline and Roland's semi-final. A change to the regulation, as we see previous head-to-heads 3-1 for Verline and Roland now. Despite everybody being told that the pit boost would only be on the second races of the season, a document which published this morning, which now says that pit boost will be in both races in doubleheader weekends. So we have our first pit race boost today, not tomorrow.
Oh, I thought it was just today. I didn't realise it'd be both races.
It's now both races, apparently. Yeah.
Interesting.
Unless they change their mind again overnight.
We're into semi-final 2 now. We're on board with Ollie Rowland, who takes it rather tentatively through the first couple corners.
He's not in front, is he?
Yeah, and now we're side by side with them now.
Verline's
Rowland looks to be up.
Massively, yeah. By a 10th already. Verline made a mistake in the bus stop. Verline's actually into the last few corners now, so they've picked up on this very late, have Aurora Media. Roland's really flying nicely. It's 81 thousandths between them at the moment. And again, it's two in the throw-in. Roland fastest Sector 1, Verline fastest Sector 2. Verline's lap time is a 1:14.999, the fastest of the duels so far. Wow.
This is the two primary drivers in the factory teams. You got the factory Porsche, factory Nissan, and these are their two main protagonists. Pascal Verline, the defending champion, Oliver Rowland, who was so impeccably good last season, and he's brought that into this year as well. It's so close that they come over the line. And Verline's done it in the final sector. He's turned it around. Rowland was up by well over a 10th, and Verline does it by just over half a 10th.
Pascal Verline gets through to the final by 59 thousandths of a second. That's insane. What a time. So it's Gunther and Verline in for the finals. Well, this
Rowland was up by
massive.
What, 10th and a bit. Hang on, let's hear from Verline.
And we through, mate, we through. Woo. Good job. And focus on your tire. on your tyre.
Yeah.
Pascal, peerless.
As you say, focus on your tyres. We get the military parade going on above us as well. Weird that's happening during qualifying. Jeddah's certainly going all out for this, aren't they? However, I don't think that doing a display like that at a Formula E race is great, considering the amount of fuel they are burning in the back there. It's kind of counterproductive. Yeah. But then again, we are in Saudi Arabia, so oil city.
I am just stunned at how Ollie Rowland was able to turn that around there. He was, sorry, Pascal Wehrlein was able to turn that around there. Ollie Rowland was up by, what was it, 0.122 coming into the final sector. So it's coming into the final chicane even. And for Wehrlein to do it by 600ths of a second, incredible.
Do we know why Florian Modlinger has got a mask on?
No, I did notice that yesterday. I will try and find out. I will message contacts in Saudi Arabia and see if we can find out why Florian has got Florian's got a mask on.
Throw it back to.
But yeah, it's Gunter versus Wehrlein for the final, and Wehrlein, who is the only person to do pole this season, could well be on for doing it again.
Here's radio.
About 5 minutes
Good job in the last chicane. Good job in the last chicane. That's where the difference came from. Yeah. That was tight until turn 13. You made the difference in the first chicane, and you made the difference in the second chicane.
Ah, so he made the difference in the chicanes. Okay. Right, let's hand it over then to the World Feed.
With some of those who were eliminated from the earlier stages of qualifying.
Down to Nikki.
It was a great result to get into the duels with Maserati. You must be really happy with your pace today.
Yeah, I mean, happy with the pace for sure. I think we had an extremely quick car today. The groups was mega. Everyone did a really good job. Just something to learn, I think, on the duels now. Wasn't happy with the brakes, but I think it's completely fixable for tomorrow. But just a bit bittersweet at the moment, because I think we had the car to do better today, but it's still a good place to start.
How much of an impact do you think qualifying is going to have on the race with a new pit boost format? It's quite hard to say how it's going to pan out.
Yeah, I think the first race will have quite a big impact, to be honest. I think we were expecting, at least from simulator, for the race to be a bit more slow, let's say. We've seen in pre-practice we have enough energy, I think, to go quite a lot faster, so track position is quite important. So yeah, I think we'll see like quite a fast race.
Best of luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, it was a great result for the team to get into the duels. You must be happy with that so far.
Yeah, we made some progress. I think, obviously, as a lot of people know, the whole formation of the team came about quite late. So I don't think we quite hit the ground running in the first couple of races. Had a good month to go through all the data after Mexico, and I think we've definitely made some improvements. Some good stuff to learn from the other team. And yeah, I think overall we've more or less got the most out of what we have at the moment today. So yeah, pretty happy, and happy with my job as well.
Do you think the new pit boost format is going to open up some more opportunities for you to hopefully gain a few places during the race?
Yeah, well, it's another layer of unpredictability in this already very unpredictable formula. So yeah, we'll see. I think because you only have one pit boost per team, I think it might favour one driver more than the other. But for today, for example, we're quite separated, me and my teammates. So I think it should be fine. But yeah, it's you know, got to push the pit lane entry again and practice stopping on my marks. Haven't had to do that for a while. There's been a few of them here. I haven't done that for a decade. So yeah, it'll be fun.
One more thing to think about. Best of luck with the race. Thank you.
Well, nice to hear there from a buoyant Dan Ticktum after qualifying. As he said, the formation of the Cupra Kiro team coming together quite late in the day, but full of optimism, of course, with their new investor lineup announced this week as well. And we look forward to seeing what sort of forward progress they will be able to make as the 2025 season progresses on. If this is just the start, promising signs to come. Moments time. Let's head down though to Katie, who is catching up with Taylor Barnard, who sadly will not be progressing forwards. He was eliminated in the semi-finals.
Taylor, that was another incredible performance for you. You've shown great pace this weekend. Is this the start of an epic comeback from Mexico City where things didn't go your way?
I absolutely hope so. You know, going into the qualifying, we actually didn't have a lot of confidence. of course, we showed pace at sometimes in the practice, but from my side, I was struggling a little bit in braking, and I still had a few things to improve. So to go to the group and be first was actually quite a surprise. And then, of course, I've never done a duel before, and actually in the practices, we didn't get the 350 laps that we wanted. So, yeah, I mean, I won one, I lost the other one, I made a bit of a mistake, but it's all part of the learning process. And of course, we look like I'm starting at the front now, so I can have a bit of an easier time than Mexico.
And how different is the car to drive in 350 compared to 300 kilowatts? You said you didn't get much practice, is it? Did that really impact you, or can you just jump in and feel the car?
I mean, I jumped in and felt it. For sure, I could have been better if I had a little bit more practice. To drive is really incredible. When you have all-wheel drive, the traction is insane. And to really push it over one lap, you have to switch on very quickly. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible to drive.
Incredible. Well, best of luck for the weekend.
Yeah, good to hear there for Taylor Barnard. Again, full of optimism. That's his best qualifying of the season so far, and plenty of reason to be optimistic down at Neon McLaren, putting a great performance out of the bag. So then, final time along the way. I can't remember the last time we had a German front row. Maximilian Günther versus Pascal Wehrlein. We'll get on that and find out exactly when that was. But you can see not long to go, just a couple of minutes left, and then we'll see Wehrlein versus Günther. So Wehrlein is aiming for a third consecutive pole position to match the record that's currently held by both Antonio Felix da Costa and Alexander Sims. No driver reached the dual final in 3 consecutive races last season. The last time that happened was Nick Cassidy back in 2023. Wehrlein, if he took pole, it would be his 9th, which would level him for 3rd on the all-time table with Mitch Evans. So plenty of stats to come your way, and a possible record to be matched as well for the reigning world champion. Let's just remind you of how we got here, though, in terms of the qualifying session so far, as we look at Pascal Wehrlein making his way down the end of pit lane. So, of course, we had the 2 group stages from qualifying. 4 from each went through into the quarterfinals. The upshot is, from that, Günther progressed forwards, likewise Barnard, Wehrlein and Oliver Rowland. In the semi-finals, we had Barnard versus Günther. Günther getting the better of the British driver on that occasion, and Wehrlein versus Oliver Rowland. Despite Rowland setting an absolute stonker of a lap time, it wasn't quite enough to better Wehrlein, and the upshot is it is DS Penske versus the Porsche driver in that fight for pole position. So then, here we are then, the final head-to-head for round 3 in Saudi Arabia. It is Maximilian Günther versus Pascal Wehrlein, and no surprise at all there. The momentum very much with Pascal Wehrlein to pole in the first 2 races of the season. Can he make it 3 from 3 as the green light is about to come on at the end of pit lane here?
That's the question we're going to answer, and we'll get in for this final of the showdowns. And I was kind of looking forward to a Roland Barnard, but instead we've got a Günther Wehrlein. Jack alongside me in the comms box. What do you think, Pico? What we're going to see?
I think Wehrlein is the pole man this year. He's the only person who's been on pole this year, and he could extend that record for another day. But Günther is a qualifying merchant, so I think this is probably going to be one of the closest battles we've had this season. Obviously, we saw Wehrlein Rowland in for the final in Sao Paulo, and then we saw an all Porsche affair in Mexico City. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the DS have kept their tyres in the window, which is way more important than anything else coming into the final.
Just a quick heads up before we get going. Many people have just asked me why didn't we cover Williams' launch this morning. We were doing practice for Formula E. An edited version of the Williams stream will be available to watch shortly. I think on Sunday morning you can watch that here on JB Motorsports as we prep for the big one in the O2 Arena later on in the week. And that'll be live on JB Motorsports 2 as well. The final begins then for Günther and Wehrlein into turn 1. Nice start from Günther, very much on the attack. And now Wehrlein up already to 350 kilowatts of power. 230, 240 I saw before hitting the brakes.
Yeah, Günther looking good so far on this lap. There's no real issues whatsoever. But Wehrlein's looking quicker. He's just up by just under half a tenth of a second.
Yep, so sector 1 is 21.167 for Gunther. Verline 21.243. 61 at the moment is the gap on our monitor. Gunther's second sector coming through shortly, and it's a 23.452. Verline attacking.
Bounce back.
This is looking great. Who's your money on? Oh, he's nearly in the wall. Gunther sliding out of 13.
Coming into the final 2 chicanes for Gunther now. He's just got the advantage, but Verline's coming back. Coming into the final, he's coming into turn 13 now. Gunther is approaching the final chicane. 5,000ths of a second. Gunther's coming up to the line now. This is going to be extremely close, Josh.
Gunther takes a 1:14.911. Verline's made a mistake. Verline's made a mistake in that last chicane. He's not going to do it. He's going to be all in this last chicane again. He's the man who's been on pole for the both races so far. Going to make it a hat-trick here in round 3. No! Gunther takes pole! Wow! And look what it means to DS Penske.
A huge result for DS and Stellantis. No one really spoke about DS coming into this qualifying session. Phil Charles there on the screen, absolutely ecstatic. And yeah, fantastic job for DS and Max Gunther, and as Porsche just watch on. That's their first defeat in qualifying all season for Pascal Wehrlein.
A 14.991 compared to a 15.197. How on earth did that happen? Let's listen.
There's a second.
Listen to this, buddy. Yes, he won. Come on. Pole position, guys. Yes, buddy. What a lap.
Well, what a jump.
Yeah.
And it's huge for DS Penske as well. It's sort of vindication for them. They brought Gunther in from the Maserati team to swap with Stoffel Van Dorn after Stoffel wasn't really gelling with the Penske project, and yeah, that's worked fantastically for them so far. In only his third race with back with the team that he made his debut with, you must remember back in season 5, and Gunther is on pole position.
Scraping it into 8-9. Well, the bus stop. Let's just call it the bus stop.
Small lockup.
Yeah, the rear.
Yeah, small lockup as well.
He knew he'd done it already. That's the main thing. He was so buzzing about it. A brand new street circuit, and he's on top. And Verline, let's see what he thinks.
Radio.
What was the gap? 3 tenths, but you were up until TV3, and we lost everything in the first chicane, basically. 2 tenths lost there.
So the first chicane.
Gunther's on pole, just to let everyone know. Da Costa.
Yeah. I think they just said the first chicane. I think they mean the first chicane on back on the front straight, because he was up coming into turns 1 and 2. So that's the first chicane coming back onto the front straight at the end of the lap. So the 14, 15, 16 section.
Yes, Da Costa starts row 7 in what we think will be 13th place on the grid. So we'll double check that as the flyovers continue here. We don't get this in Formula 1 when they do their sessions, so I feel a bit honoured.
Yeah, so Group A will be lining up on the odd side of the grid from 9th downwards, and Group B will be lining up from on the even side of the grid from 10th downwards.
So that is
So
13th.
that means that Da Costa will start 13th, yes. Unless he had a Lola in front of him, but I don't think he did. Just checking.
No, Bird and NATO.
Both Lolas were 10th in the respective sessions. They will serve their 20 place penalty. So they will probably have to start from the back and serve a lengthy stop-go penalty in the race this evening.
Good stuff for Mortara then, who actually starts 20th on the grid. No matter what happens, he starts 20th, even though he didn't take a part in qualifying. Pole goes to Gunther.
Yeah, and I think it's huge. I think it's huge for DS, and and we'll have to see what they're like in the race. Obviously, Porsche and Nissan have been stealing the headlines this year, but it's nice to see that Stellantis have something for them. And where do we now put Jaguar in terms of the quickest? In terms of the quickest powertrains, are they now the 4th quickest powertrain? Would you put Mahindra on the same level as them?
Scary to think that. I would say yes. Yeah. They've seemed to have just dropped back massively over the past couple of races, and they were always strong when it came to peloton-style racing. Now we don't really have that anymore. You can tell how much they're losing their pace. Right, let's have a word with our pole sitter then, down with Katie.
Max Günther, a long time coming. Your first pole position since 2013. How does that 2023? Sorry, how does that feel?
Yeah, great feeling, obviously. Great day for us, really. I'm very happy for my first pole position with my new team, FEZ Penske. Yeah, incredible job, really. Car felt better and better throughout the day. Made the right decisions, and yeah, good lap at the end. So yeah, very, very pleased, and good first step this weekend.
Can you just talk us through your lap there and what made the difference to win that pole position?
Yeah, I mean, the lap was like really good and clean in sector 1 and 3. In particular, at the end of the lap, it was great. Sector 2 through turn 8, 9, it was really, really on the edge. I had some front locking, went a bit deep. And I mean, it was fast, but it was really on the edge. So yeah, really, really happy with my lap. It was really the maximum we could do today. So yeah, that was a good feeling.
Thank you very much. It's time to present you with the Julius Baer Pole Possession Trophy by Marco Peroni, the Chief Marketing Officer.
Maximilian Günther then, pole position for him for the first time since Jakarta 2023. And the Julius Baer Trophy will be going home in his suitcase. And of course, 3 points onto his tally in the Drivers' Championship standings as well, which, by my reckoning, will promote him ahead of Edo Mortara for 10th in the standings, ahead of the EPrix this afternoon. And of course, plenty of opportunity for that to unravel and change as we head into the 31-lap EPrix here today. And of course, we see the emergence of pit boost for the first time under racing conditions. Who knows how that is going to work out? Drivers coming in for a 34-second pit stop for an energy boost in the race. And, well, there's a certain air of trepidation coming into that EPrix for the teams and the drivers. A lot of expectation and a lot of unknowns, doing simulations back at base, trying to work out the best strategies coming into that one. But the thing is, that's all immaterial. It can go one way in terms of how you think the race is going to work out, then suddenly you get a safety car and it completely turns any strategy on its head. So we'll be catching up and seeing what's going on with that as we head into that EPrix. Coming along the way, it's 8:05 local time here in Saudi Arabia, so just over 3 hours, and then we'll get that race underway. And of course, we get the opportunity to do it all again tomorrow as well. Let's head down to Casey then, who's catching up with Pascal Wehrlein on the front row of the grid.
Pascal, it's not pole, but it's another incredible performance in qualifying this year. 2 out of 3 poles. How are you feeling? You must be pleased overall for Porsche.
Yeah, it was a very good qualifying, considering like we were more than half a second off in free practice, but found an issue on the car, and now the car just felt a lot better, and I was building references step by step throughout that qualifying. A bit of a shame on my last lap because I just lost yeah, a bit the rear in the last sector and couldn't match the lap before, but yeah, otherwise super happy. I mean, it's again first row, so good turnaround from there, and very happy with the team because we were scratching our heads a bit after free practice.
And obviously you've got a new feature to this race with pit boost. How important do you think that's going to be in team strategy, starting second on the grid now?
Yeah, I mean, the attack mode is already a big enough strategy tool, and now we have the pit boost as well, so there's a lot you can do right, but even more you could do wrong, so hopefully we are on the good end.
Fingers crossed for you guys. Thank you.
Well, Pascal Wehrlein still defiant despite the defeat in qualifying then. Second on the grid for the German driver for the first time in season 11. Let's see whether he can convert it into a strong result for the EPrix here later on this evening.
Not bad at all then, coming through on the overall run of things. We'll wrap up our coverage of the session. We're just waiting for the timing towers to load up as well to give us the information for the official starting grid. But Pico, what's your thoughts on qualifying and going into what is going to be a history-defining race with the pit boost later on?
Yeah, I think that was an amazing qualifying session. It ebbed and flowed throughout, and there were some moments like between the battle between the duel between Roland and Verline was blew my mind towards the end of the lap. But Barnard versus Evans was a fantastic duel, and I think it sets the race up really nicely. And we are going into the unknown now. We don't know what's going to happen with pit boosts, and yeah, it's something that we're going to find out in about 3 hours' time.
It's going to be a very entertaining race. Oops. Tried to reverse to get an Ollie Rowland interview and ended up going full screen. Sorry if I just blinded everybody to go in there as well. You can't actually reverse, can you, on the live stream? That's really annoying. They should allow that considering it's media, so if you miss it, you should be able to hear something. We have got a bit of a delay. Usually we get our monitors on by now, and we get information of what the starting grid is, but I think they're still trying to decide who fits where because of the penalties that need to be applied on the field.
I can give you what I think the lineup is.
Go on.
So it's obviously Gunter, Verline. It will then go Roland, Barnard, Evans, De Vries, Hughes, Tictum, and then it will go Cassidy, Verne, Bird, Nato, Da Costa, Van Dorn, Muller, Dennis, Boemi, Beckman, Freins, Mortara, and then the two Lolas, Degrassi and Maloney.
If that is
that's
100...
what I think.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what.
Here we go. It's loaded
Am
up
I
now.
right?
Right. Well, here's the grid then, because it has loaded up and it's just loading into our systems now. We'll give it a second to boost in. Here we go.
Right?
Gunther on pole, Verline second, Rowland's third, Barnard fourth, Evans fifth, De Vries sixth, Hughes seventh, Tictum eighth, Cassidy ninth, Verne 10th, Bird 11th, NATO 12th, Da Costa 13th, Van Dorn 14th, Muller 15th, Dennis 16th, Boemi 17th, Beckman 18th, Freins 19th, Maloney 20th, Degrassi 21st, Mortara 22nd. They have classified him at the back of the field.
I got Edo wrong.
Yeah,
so
Edo
is at the back.
That surprises
me. I might
me.
try and find out what's happening. What happened with Edo for later on when we do our race show. I'll try and pester people to tell me.
That's a big surprise, actually, to put Mortara right at the back of the field, considering we have got penalties for the two Lolas.
Yeah. So I believe that is with penalties applied because both Degrassi and Maloney drop a position behind Freins, but I'm assuming because Mortara didn't do a time, then they go in front. I don't know. That's what I'd assume. Either that or he just because he wasn't classified in qualifying.
We will double check with that and get back to you in 2.5 hours' time when we are on air, 4:30 GMT. We are on air for our build-up show to the Grand Prix of Jeddah, the EPrix here for the first time, and we'll have Jess Ball joining us in the commentary box as well, alongside myself and Jack in this fantastic, beautiful situation. We have got the starting grid confirmed now on our screens. We will be back later on then for all of the action. My thanks to you, Jack, for joining me, and my thanks to all of you at home for watching on JB Motorsports and Formula E Zone. We'll see you later on for the EPrix with Maximilian Gunther for DS Penske on pole position. Take care. Bye-bye.